You are Locked On Tar Heels, your daily podcast on the UNC Tar Heels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, it's time for our second ever Moment with Maggie. We are actually coming to you today, my wife Maggie and I, from Branson, Missouri, as they say down here in Missouri. Right after Carolina knocks off Oklahoma 81-69. If you missed our first Moment with Maggie, this is where we invite my wife in to give us her very educational, very informed basketball thoughts on how this game went. So Maggie, I'm just going to start by giving you the floor and let's kind of hear some of your thoughts. By the way, I should mention, and I apologize for not, Maggie is a proud Texan.
I am. It's true.
Hook 'em, and so down with Boomer Sooner, and so that's a big part of this conversation.
Yeah. So let me just start by saying tonight was a really magical night for our family. And I will say this, tonight we took our children to the Polar Express. I'm not talking about we took our children to watch the movie The Polar Express. We took our children to ride on a train where they got a cookie. We all got a cookie. We got hot chocolate. The conductor punched our gold ticket. Santa himself came along, gave us all a bell, and that was not the most magical part of my night. The most magical part of my night was watching OU lose. I love when OU loses. I don't care if they lose in football or basketball or soccer or basket weaving or whatever other kinds of things that you can lose in. I love watching OU lose. So I had a magical night, and honestly, it wasn't even because of the Polar Express.
And the Polar Express is magical.
It was magical, but this
phenomenal.
just chef's kiss.
So that's great. Down with OU, especially after, I apologize for mentioning this after what happened on the football.
Don't talk about it.
I apologize for that. Texas lost to Oklahoma in football. But
it was bad.
Maggie, this obviously was a critical game for North Carolina to finish off the main chunk of the non-conference part of the schedule. What else did you think about this game? Anything from the game itself or from Oklahoma's players or Porter Moser? They're very interesting, coach.
Not a lot from the game itself, I'll be honest. I do have this one thought. That was a late game. That game started at 8:00 p.m.
Central time. We're in Central time.
Central time. I don't like to start anything after 8:00 p.m. I don't like to start a movie. I don't like to start a meal. I don't even like to start my bedtime routine after 8 p.m. I like to have, by 8 p.m., I want to have my face washed. I want to have my teeth brushed. I want to have my contacts out and my retainers in by 8 p.m. That's what I like. I don't like to start anything after 8 p.m. So the fact that this game started after 8 p.m., that was a little tough for me. I feel like most people will not feel this way, but I would like to maybe visit the opportunity of a 6 a.m. game.
A.m.?
Yeah, that feels better to me than the night games, because I don't like late night things. There's a game on right now and it is late at night. And if I were an Alabama fan, which is a bad example because I would never be an Alabama fan. Why would I do that?
Yeah.
But if I were a fan of a game that started at 10 p.m., would be done.
And this game's 11 Eastern.
That's
crazy. Arizona
that's
and
absolutely
Alabama.
crazy. Absolutely crazy. I would like to maybe talk about early morning games.
Caleb Love's playing in this game.
Is he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he used to be a Tar Heel.
He did. Now he's
now he's not.
Arizona. So, Maggie, other thoughts on Oklahoma?
Other thoughts. OU's coach. I feel like I have a lot of thoughts on what I think coaches should be doing instead of coaching basketball simply based on their appearance. And this one, I'm not going to lie. Legitimately, I'm not going to lie. I asked you if that was their coach, because when I saw him, I thought there's a poor boy on this team whose dad they let on the sidelines, who is living vicariously through his 19-year-old son, because that is what he kind of looks like, the dad from One Tree Hill. That's a little bit, I mean, not looked like him, but looked like the intensity of your team lost in the state championship of 1987, and now you got to live it out through your kid. That's a little bit what it felt like.
So we've kind of looked at the Oklahoma side of things a lot. Any thoughts on the Tar Heels side of things? Because we want to obviously celebrate and lift up this team. Listen,
I learned something new tonight. Legitimately, I learned something new tonight. That boy's name is Cormac Ryan. It's not Ryan Cormac.
That is true.
I thought this whole season his name was Ryan Cormac. I just never thought about the fact that it was like flipped. And that shook me a little bit because in my head, he was Ryan Cormac this whole season. And I Googled him during the game just to make sure I was reading that correctly. And the pictures that came up, he was wearing a different jersey in every picture that came up. He has played at a lot of different schools.
He has. Do you know who they are?
Notre Dame.
Yep, that's where he came from.
I saw Notre Dame. I saw maybe a Stanford.
Yep, he started at Stanford, went to Notre Dame. Now he's a Tar Heel. And he's like 87 years old.
He's very old.
25.
Like, feel like maybe they should call him like Papa Cormac. Papa Ryan.
Papa Ryan Cormac. Ryan Cormac Ryan.
Ryan Cormac Ryan. Maybe his parents were like, listen, he's got a first name for a last name, so we're not going to give him two first names, so we're going to give him a last name for a first name.
That's legit.
Also, I looked up his high school. I was like looking him up and I saw that he went to high school somewhere, which I feel like
he went to high school somewhere. This is breaking news. Cormac Ryan Cormac went to high school. Great news.
He went to a school that I'm pretty sure just by like the name of it belongs in Gilmore Girls, which I have a feeling that most of your listeners don't know much about Gilmore Girls. But if there is some crossover, if there are Locked On Tar Heels listeners that also watch Gilmore Girls, I feel like you're my people.
Your people. That's great. Any other final thoughts on this game or how the Tar Heels have been looking ahead of the Christmas day?
You know what? Tar Heels looked good. They looked great. Ryan Cormac looked good. OU did not look good, and that was great. And I don't think they should have been ranked that high. I think that obviously, we talked about this the other day. I was like, what's up with their strength of schedule? Not great. I'm pretty sure that they played our second grade son's basketball team and beat them, which like valiant effort by our second graders, but they were playing college kids. So good job, OU.
It's true. Yes. OU has now fallen out of the ranks of the undefeateds. There are only 3 left at the time of this recording.
Who's that?
The other 3?
Yeah.
It is Houston.
Okay.
Texas. James Madison.
Okay.
And Ole Miss.
Okay.
That's
good for them.
3.
Way to go, those guys. Yeah. Did they play our second grade son's team, or have they played actual teams?
A little bit of both. Okay. James Madison beat Michigan State.
Okay, that's good. So you know what? The Tar Heels beat Michigan State in a national championship one time.
Do you remember which one?
09.
That's right. Check her out. That's baller status.
Marry me.
Yes.
Marry me.
Well, you remember because that was the year we got married.
It was.
Yes. Love that. All right, folks. This has been a Moment with Maggie. Thank you so much for tuning in. I think we'll have to have you back again sometime at a later date. Maybe after the next game against Charleston Southern.
Is that a real team? Charleston Southern? Never heard of them.